A very good evening to Burbicians and welcome to this Alliance and the Move program. Uh, Wonderful to be here again. I am supposed to have two other contributors this evening, but I must say the spate of blackouts. Oh, one is here, Kathy. Very good night to you.
Thank you, Kamraj. Yes, finally we got some lights back. We've been suffering with blackouts.
That's
I
correct.
have to say that we are wishing David Patterson was here because we
Yeah.
certainly did not get as many blackouts when he was around. Anyways, I'm happy to be here. Happy Burbies. Happy everyone in Guyana.
Thank you very much. The other contributor would have been Joretta too, and where she lives, there is a complete blackout. She indicated to me.
Mhm.
Um, well. But apart from the blackouts, we have some extremely bad news from which village was that? I think it was Ross Village, West
Yeah.
Coast Bobis, where 6 persons died in apparently a headlong collision of two motor cars. I think it is PNN 3526 and PWW 208. And quite a few of those passengers here lost their lives. A Lynch, a McFarlane, and a Jacob in one vehicle, and a Saul and a Dow and an unidentified other person in the second vehicle. Our condolences go out. This is supposed to be a season of celebrations, but you got to understand that sometimes these misfortunes and unfortunate incidents occur. But this was really, really tragic. 6 persons and 2 cars written off. Our condolences to the relatives and friends of these persons that I just named. And I am pleading with persons all across the country because it's not only in West Coast Babies. This thing is at Linden. This thing is up the highway to Letem. This is West Coast Demerara. Okay, so we have lights again. Ricky is coming in. Thank you very much, Ricky. But let me just continue the thought and to ask road users, please be in your P's and Q's. I had some very bad incidents because out there, driving to my new office, driving to the AFC office, driving my wife to the market, or any other place, it is massive traffic congestion, and people are still driving atrociously, whether it is
Mm.
in intercity roads or on the highway. And I had to, in a sense, block one of the fellas who tried to pass me from the behind side, in the sense of on the underside of the road. And when I blocked him, a minibus driver, I told him what the hell he was getting on with. The fella started cussing me down. And
Mhm.
you know what? Even some of the passengers who identified me, my way don't drive, because apparently they want to reach home fast, and they are literally acquiescing in dangerous driving on the part of a minibus driver who could literally kill all of them. And so
Yes.
passengers in that vehicle, in those vehicles that are driving dangerously, must tell the driver, please hold it. You're not only carrying yourself, but I in this vehicle too. And all of that cooperative effort can go a far way in helping out. Our roads are not the best. They're not very well lit. Some of them don't have all the markings that are necessary. But if we do not put on that individual responsibility to this
Mhm.
thing, by first of all, as a driver not going that fast, and secondly, as passengers with that kind of driving, telling them, hey, urging them on, stop that nonsense. I coming off the vehicle or some such thing, But as I have heard very often, some of the passengers say, "Gam fire, man, gam fire. This might can proper drive." Crap! It will lead to your death, and I think that is what happened here, and it is so sad now because look
Kamraj.
at the amount of deaths that have happened.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. And, there's just a lot of these accidents can be avoided, can be avoided. We know that in some cases, we like to celebrate. We got to make sure that we take our drinks. And I ask people to be responsible, especially at this season. We know we have been locked up with COVID. We have an opportunity to maybe entertain family and friends, but look where it can end. And today is just a painful reminder. You know, we know the saying, more haste and less speed. And this is where we really urge passengers, as you were saying, to take responsibility, because sometimes it's not even the persons in the cars, it's the innocent child that's standing on the side of the road,
Sure.
or an older lady in a home and it runs off the road. Many of you will recall that in 2015 I lost my mother-in-law
Yeah.
because of a drunk driver, and it's a hard thing for families to continue to bear. So we know that there's a lot of traffic. We know there are more roads. I mean, there are less roads. We know that there are more cars on the roads. And we plead with people to be safe and drive not just for yourself, but be a defensive driver. You preempt what the other person is going to do. And as much as possible, step off the road, go in the shoulder. You see somebody swerving, you go in your corner. You know, sometimes it's good not to engage.
Yeah.
But I know, thank you for welcoming us to the program. And I think we got an exciting program. We're joined now by Ricky. Ricky, how are you? Good to see you.
You're
Ricky, you
mute.
go put on your mic.
Maybe Mike.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Good evening to you and to you guys, and good evening to our viewers and listeners, especially in Barbados. The blackout, uh, the power just came on back, so
So
sorry to.
you had blackout up there, Ricky?
Yeah, the East Coast, entire coast was on blackout. The East
Wow.
Bank was on blackout, I guess, to Georgetown. I don't know if it's the entire country had the blackout, so I'm
Yeah,
not too sure.
because I'm on the East Bank.
Yeah.
We
So
had it
I
for a
just
long
want to chip
time.
in, I just want to chip in a bit with Kamraj talking about this dangerous driving. And we saw this morning, I woke up to six-person lost their life. Um, and I really want to express my condolences to those family. But we know the Barbies, the history of the Barbies Road. With the animals and early in the morning and people parking the tractors and the combines and the trucks, the party trucks on the road, shoulders. You ought to be very careful. Also, this morning in Linden on the highway, there was a blowout, and I
Oh.
think several persons got is hospitalized. I don't think anyone has died. Luckily, maybe, but our prayers are with them because, you know, look, guys. Last night I took my children to watch a movie, and while it's coming back at Souvenir, the road is kind of wide there by the stoplight. It's very wide.
Mhm.
The guys come with a full. I average probably over 100, and on the take, on the take the two lanes and a pedestrian crossing, the guy barely make it across the pedestrian line. You know what? I slowed down and I took my time. I drove like 40 kilometers per hour because you know what? I saw that accident.
Mhm.
Yet what was to happen. So I'm appealing also to our road users to take your time. Drive below 80. You know what I mean? Once you drive at 80 and below, you're gonna be okay. Just take your time.
Yeah. And at this time, Christmas time, everybody out on the road. And
Yeah.
notwithstanding COVID or a flood or the fact that so many, they said all kinds of things about international slippages in relation to containers coming to Guyana. Guyanese, and I have lived in a number of countries, and especially Christmas time too. I have spent in other countries. Guyana's Christmas is like the busiest in the Caribbean, and as against other countries like England and Canada and America,
Mhm.
far more
Mhm.
in that regard. Shopping and commercialized, and everybody out on the road, and lots of sporting and so on. That is why even Guyanese that gone America and so on, they said the best Christmases
There's a
are the
Guyanese.
Guyanese
Mhm.
Christmases. But we have to, with that enjoyment and celebration, be defensive in so many of the things. Be defensive in how we drive, defensive in how we control our anger, because remember, the anger management
Mhm.
is important when you're inebriated. And look what happened to one of the young boys there that went up and stabbed another fella. We have to be on our all fours, as it were. If
Yeah.
we are not, we are going to have deaths and grievous bodily harm all across, loss of property. Then those accidents also help destroy the road sometimes, broke up caucus, and even some places there, I have known they go and they broke up a piece of the school, they enter into a schoolyard. Man, they got to be driving very fast and so on, those times that it had happened before. And even now, so I am pleading, let's be defensive in our
Yeah.
driving, knowing very many people are out on the road, not only cars, but pedestrians, ordinary people, as Kathy said, old people, young people. And we
Yes.
don't want to take the lives this early of those people or even in their old age. No, please let us be very defensive in how we drive with
Hmm.
care and caution and compassion. So we will have to move on. Having said those two pretty bad pieces of news, blackouts all over the place, and now the accidents. But I had really wanted this evening to talk some Christmas wishes to some of our supporters and members in and around Berbice and so on. But we had a parliamentary session there yesterday that I could not close off Christmas without telling you a couple of things, along with
Hmm.
Kathy and
Hmm.
parliamentarian Ricky here too,
Hmm.
as to what happened. Ricky was in Parliament. I think Kathy was by Zoom.
Yeah.
Via Zoom, we could also have Parliament. And Kathy, why don't you start? You were having like a look on to us in Parliament, whether these fellas were doing a good job of it, what was the PPP doing, and so on. So start out with
Well,
your
well,
remarks.
you know what? I know we will get into the financial papers and the specifics of that. But as you asked me for my opinion about the way Parliament operated, I find it sad that we really are not getting the level of debate that we should have in the Parliament of Guyana. I mean, anybody watching the BBC will see how under their system, even the Prime Minister, I know our president doesn't sit in Parliament, but in the BBC, you will see, the Prime Minister in the hot seat. You will see that the Speaker allows all kinds of debates on all the current and real issues that are plaguing. And I was
Mhm.
quite distressed that in the questioning, because remember, the way I look at it is that we parliamentarians represent a group, a constituency, and it's a fairly large
Right, yeah.
constituency. And when we're sitting there asking questions, we're asking the questions on behalf of not only ourselves and the political parties, but most importantly, we're asking questions that we know the citizens of Guyana want to know. We're representing their thoughts, the questions that they have, we bring. And so I'm quite disturbed when you will have a minister, as we saw, the Minister of Education, answering a question by saying that you must go on the internet, that there are these various websites that the information could be found. I mean, if persons are asking, how many nursery schools are there? How many private schools are there? Remember, only the Ministry of Education has information on the private schools. And if you are being asked, if you're asking a valid question in the parliament, then I think respect should be given. You answer the question. And if somebody asks the question 3 and 4 times, again, why can't we be respectful and say, okay, maybe you didn't quite understand the way I explained it, but this is what I need. This is what I'm saying. I mean, it's very disrespectful when questions are being asked and down to the speaker is not engaging and acting in a manner that says, these sections, these MPs, these individuals, for whatever reason, still are not clear on the answer. And you have a responsibility to provide an answer to the questions. So I'm very disturbed about that. I mean, this is not even to mention the fact that there's so many questions that have been asked that are not being answered in a timely manner. I think currently there are about 64 questions that are still to be answered. And again, you know, for Barbicians, for people of Guyana, we want to know and get some information on a particular contract. The parliament is a place where you're supposed to be able to ask the question and you're supposed to get an answer. We cannot be talking about transparency and accountability and you asking questions. You know, we have major issues, the gas to shore project that up to now we cannot even debate. So how are you serving the people when you're not even allowed to have proper debate, robust debate? We don't have to agree on everything, but we can debate so everybody can learn from the discussion. And then you can agree to disagree respectfully. So I am very, very disappointed with the way Parliament operates. We've slid down. We've just lowered and lowered and lowered the level of operations from 2011, when I first went into Parliament, to what we're seeing now. It's almost as if the approach is to deliberately stymied. We don't want you to talk. No, you can't talk about this. That's not what's on the, if it's kind of related, we don't want you to raise it. So it's a very, very sad, very, very sad. And the speaker, unfortunately, is doing very little to be absolutely fair. I had my hand up and then put my hand down on 3 occasions in total disgust, because you're saying that you're going virtually, in which case somebody should be notifying or reminding the speaker that there are people asking questions. It's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, I'm glad that you gave me that perspective from a little above the realm of actual things at the scene of the crime, as they say. And it is now for Ricky. You are in on the scene of the crime, as it were, in Parliament with me and so many others who were there. Give your thoughts about it. How you felt about the fact that, first of all, these papers coming in this latter part of the year, so late into the year, knowing already that a paper or two had come before. Remember, they had a $383 billion budget. Is it 383? Around there. And now they are coming in July. I think they came for 21 billion more, and now they come for how much? It's almost 25 or 28
Yeah,
billion.
another 21 billion
Plus 5.
and another
Plus 5.
5 billion.
Yeah, that is 26.
And I think it's good, Kamraj, to explain to the public that, remember, according to our constitution and our accounting procedures, all the financial books close off on December 31st.
Midnight.
So what's stupid about this is that you are really saying that between December 17th or December, what day was it actually?
Yeah, December 17th.
17th?
Yes, and 31st.
Right. From December 17th to the 31st, you have less than 2 weeks. In fact, you only have about 10 days given through dealing with the working days. So in 10 days, you're going to spend 25 billion, not million, not an M, a B. And are we to be reassured that it's not going to just be squandermania, spend it, use it fast, you only got 10 days to spend it? How are we to be convinced that this money is going to be spent in a fair and equitable manner, making the best use of taxpayers' money? And this is where on several occasions we heard that some of the procurement procedures were being tossed aside because some of the answers were, oh, well, we already did the contract. How could you do the contract for a particular sum of money when you didn't know you were getting the money and the money was only going to be approved yesterday? So there's a lot of underhand jiggery pokery taking place. And, again, where are we headed as a country?
Ricky, come in here at this point.
Thank you. I mean, Kathy, get it there. Look, indeed. Let me put it firstly by what was happening in Parliament. I had like about 4 or 5 questions need to be asked, but because the way that the answer were giving and the way that the speaker accept an answer, you understand, discourage you to ask a question, because what he says clearly is that an answer is an answer. Now you are a speaker, you cannot say an answer is an answer. So I can tell you anything that I want to tell you, and you accept that as an answer. What about the answer to the question that we're asking?
Yep.
And it's kind of annoying sometimes. Sometimes you just want to pack up your book and just leave.
Yep.
Because of this kind of response. There's not a professionalism. The level, as Kathy was talking about, the level in Parliament, it's kind of dropped.
Yep.
As a young parliamentarian, I expected to be much higher than that. I expected that when we debate or we ask a question, we have a direct answer. If you cannot answer it, say, okay, I'm going to resort or I'm going to come back to you. As simple as that. You understand? So when you look at that, it's kind of that's a level of Parliament that we are in now. Now let us talk about this supplementary and this contingency. I surprised the contingency probably is not another 20 billion, because it's spending spree, and as I'm saying here, 2 papers, 49 plus billions. I think probably run over 49 billion plus.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is what we call, Kemraj, this is what we call ill prepared or unprofessional of preparing a budget. You understand? If you cannot prepare a budget for a country and you're short by over $50 billion, something is wrong with you. You cannot short a budget over 50 billion. This is not million, man. This is billion of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If you short a budget in preparation for a country, then something is not right. So this can show you the level where we are in Guyana. In terms of
this is almost 15% misjudgment as to how you should spend. Remember Barbicians, and we are talking, remember, to the Barbicians here. So let them understand the argument. It is like having a capacity to bring in an income of $100,000 a month. And well, that is what you're going to get, because you're going to plant your little garden, you're going to do your little labor work, you might get a little remittance from America, and so on. I'll come up now $100,000. You got 2 picnic, you got your wife, you got to mind them now with that money. You know that there are certain expenses that will always come. Either your rent, your food, buying some things for the children, and whatever. And then there can be some luxury items. You can buy some sweets, some drinks, some beers, whatever, if you could find the savings for that. And that is what a budget is, more or less, that your spending will go after you would have estimated what your income will be. But in Guyana, in that 2020 budget and the 2021 budget, and the PPP was doing it before 2015 when Winston Jordan became Minister of Finance, we used to have extraordinarily unbalanced budget. Barbicians should know Dr. Jagan when he used to come and tell all you, budget got to be balanced. So if you go get sugar money, you go get bauxite money, you go get taxpayers' money, when you add it up and you come up $2 billion, then you have to spend $2 billion. And if your spending then increases the capacity to get 2.5 billion the next year, then we call that thing growth, because you start growing, as it were. Mm-hmm. Them fellas, this, Ashley Singh, and that is why I'll always be critical of them, because, me know me little law, but I also know me little economics too, because you're self-read in these things, and you go to some of the experts. And he gone, and he know that he could only collect about $289 billion in revenue. But he take almost $100 billion, and he say he gonna borrow. So the thing look like 380 something billion now that he can spend. But 100 million literally is not genuine revenue coming as an income from anywhere. And apart from that deficit, the man gone and spend in such a way that July this year, he come for $21 billion more. So from $388 billion as a budget, it now gone over by 21 to 400 and something billion dollars. Okay? And we didn't collect that kind of income yet. Now, in 2021, a further $100 billion. And, and in this year, the further 21. And now, December the 17th, he come now, he want 27 billion plus some 100 million more. So what's happening here? And you know what he wants it for? He wants it for, as he said, to spend on purchasing new equipment and this and that. Well, that's got to be a sham. Not only some of it going like what Kathy mentioned there, they didn't even get the money and they want to procure. That is skullduggery of the highest.
Mm-hmm.
But moreover now, even if now that you get some of the money, like they get $755 million for NDIA, I ask you what you want. You know how nasty he answered the question, Zulfikar. He start talking about how we rig elections and this and that and all kinds of things. In your committee of supply, you're supposed to ask the question, answer the question asked. Don't go around all over as if you're giving a speech, as if you're doing some budget debate and so on. You got to, as a committee of supply, where will this 755 million go? Answer the question. At the very end, after he cussed you down and so on and cussed down the opposition, he then go and say, pumps, excavator, this, that, whatever. Now, are you going to have a procurement process, I ask? The fella said we're going to do everything within that 2 weeks and know where you're coming from and all kind of thing. Look, if you got to advertise that $755 million are going to go for excavators and a whole set of other things, it will take 2 weeks for you to advertise and give time for all the suppliers to put up their bids. 2 weeks minimum. 2 weeks done, go carry today, 18th already. You're gonna cross to January. On the night of 31st of December, if you get money in your hand at the ministry and you have not spent it by a disbursement to the proper suppliers or whosoever win the award and things like that, you have to send it back to the Ministry of Finance. They can't spend it. But let me tell you something. That is legitimate spending. They're going to bill away the money. They're going to thief plenty. And a lot of that money will not go to the purpose intended as we had it in Parliament. A lot of lies are happening in Parliament. Big time lies. They can't meet the requirement of 2 weeks just for the advertisement. Then at the ministry level, infrastructure, or agriculture, or whatever, you got to get an evaluation team now to check out all the bids. Who's selling the excavator cheaper? Who doing a quality excavator? Who doing better pumps? And so on. And they're going to take another week for them staff to check out. And then you'll have to go back now to the winner. And when you go to the winner will say, I will take about 3 months to bring in these. By that time, March month not gonna come.
Yeah.
But this is what the PPP feels. The PPP feels that it could be cavalier. It could be arrogant in the spendings of money, Barbicians. They've gone back to the pre-2015 days, and they are doing a lot of wrongs. And I want to say that, I called up a couple of my Barbician and I said, I'm going to watch the program. But you know what couple out of them that tell me? Cameras, are you money? When you left them man for take them and go and spend, especially the $250,000 that is expended out of the 3.5 billion contingency that they took and don't spend out. Are you one? When you shut your blasted foolish mouth and all kind of thing. I said, but that is not how you run country. Are you glad at all you getting it? But please, that is wrong. It is not how you go into the treasury of non-opposition even see the thing and you take out $3.5 billion and you gone and hand them out like that. And this is where they got caught too. When I asked them if out of the 3.5 billion, I think 2.6 billion went to the sugar workers. They did not take the money and give Gaisuco so that
No.
Gaisuco will then give its employees.
Mhm.
It was accountant general's check, so it was like a distribution directly from the Ministry of Finance. The thing's shameless. When you start arguing with him, please, was the money transferred into Gaisuco's check account so that they can now take out the check and see 250 Gaisuco and so on? I understand it was never Gaisuco's checks.
Yeah.
And I can't understand Sis Narayan Singh and all of them jagabats up there who just don't want the process. And if there's one thing Sis no, apart from eating sugar, it is that the finances must have come to the accounts of Gaisuco for Gaisuco. He and his managers of all the estates should have done the distribution. But you got, them jagabats from the ministers, them, Ashley saying this one, they're running around with the check. They start buying the votes already. And I want to say, politicians, that is not fair. And even if you are the beneficiaries, you are beneficiaries of a money that has not gone through the due process. In a way, it is improper. It might be even illegal. And you must not be beneficiaries of that, because if some other people come and thief money for you and don't do the process properly, or hoodwink you, or embezzle your money, you want people to get locked up. So you must understand that even when you get it, tell them, but I go through the processes here, and then you can talk. Not tell people like Ramjatan, why not shut your mouth for? Are you money?
So, Kamraj, I think what we need to remind the citizens of Berbice and citizens in general is that these systems ensure that you are able to track where this money goes.
True.
And you, as a sugar worker, an employer, Gaisuco, might be happy that you're getting 250,000, and you're gonna say, yeah, you're gonna shut your mouth, don't say nothing, just take the money. For the record, I do want to clarify another falsehood, and that is that no severance was paid. You will remember that the APNU AFC paid half the severance in January and then the other half in December. So complete severance was paid. But getting back to the system and the way that they've done it this time, is that as a citizen and as an employee of Gaisuco, when you don't follow the rules, you don't know for sure if really they could have paid you 400,000. Because when you're doing everything under the table, and as Kamraj has explained, the check is not being written to Gaisuco. So everybody knows that this 2 billion went to Gaisuco. And then within Gaisuco, on their systems, you are able to say, well, how the money spent? Did the sugarcane workers get this amount? Did the managers take this amount? Where this amount is it missing? And that's why it's short-sighted. It's almost like if they're giving you crumbs and we're accepting the crumbs. But you have no idea that really the way the system is and what is being doled out, you should have gotten twice as much. And so we have to start thinking differently. I mean, the amount of money that is being spent that we still haven't even collected of our oil revenues. And one of the things that we really also need to talk about tonight, Kamraj, is that fund, the Natural Resource Fund. And I noticed that I was looking at the headline of the papers, right?
Show it to them.
Government to dominate all the committees, oil fund committees, right? And that's something we should talk about. I know, Kamraj, you can give a good explanation, but the citizens of Guyana need to know that we deliberately set up a system whereby they got 20 people that got to sit down and talk about how we spend this money. And so the current legislation says there got to be 20 people. And who are those 20 people?
22, actually. 22.
22. Thank you, Kamraj. And who are those 22 people? We wanted to make sure that civil society, that means some of the NGOs, some of the women's groups, all those civil society people, ordinary Guyanese that are involved in various groups and the management of the country, we made sure that they would have representation. We made sure that the media would have representation, because we all dependent on a fair media to report what really happening. So there was representation for the media. There were representation for people in conservation in so many different areas. Camarade, you could go into a little more detail. But to go from 22 people that got to sit down and got to discuss, and you know that you can have a fair system when so many people know we got this amount of money, how is the best way, how much we keeping for the next 10 years, what we using now, if we using it now, what we using it for, tablets for the children to learn online, we building a new road, we building a new bridge. But when you take it away from 22 people and then you decide only the president and the minister of finance and one other and a committee that they're going to select of 6 people, what is that saying? If you have nothing to hide, you would be happy to have the 22 people and all the representatives from all sections of Guyanese society. You would want to show, guess what? We have nothing to hide. We are above board. Let all these people sit down and look at the books and talk about it. But no, you're taking it down to a few people. Cameron, I know you have a little more detail.
Oh yeah, I have quite a lot of
that
details.
You could share.
Yeah. I want to say that I've been on a campaign and on about 3 or 4 programs on the Berbice on the Move, Alliance on the Move in Berbice. Yeah. I have been stating this. This system, or what you call the scheme that we took to put into our Natural Resource Fund Act, was probably the most progressive in all the world, quite frankly. And I remember arguing for it. You had to, because when you're in a cabinet, as you know, Kathy, we argued for it and all of that. You might have some dissension, but whatever. You have to get unanimity, and then we send it to the parliament. We had this 22-man-woman committee, very much representative of almost every section of Guyana. So it was a most inclusive act. It was a most expanded of democracy act. It was all embracing. And by the way, we gave the power to them to advise the National Assembly how the money must be spent. So if this 22-man and woman committee decided that each sugar worker that was dismissed by, say, the Gaisuko APNU coalition, AFC coalition then, should now get $500,000, we, the politicos, will have to abide by that disbursement.
Yeah.
You understand? So we depoliticized spendings of our oil monies. Remember, we get other monies that we, the parliamentarians, can spend, what is called the non-oil revenue streams.
Mm-hmm.
What bauxite to make, what gold to make, and gold to make a plenty money now. Rice is also making, forestry, all the other sectors. But this one that is special, that came in and is like a bonus onto us when Exxon find the oil, and when we sign up that agreement called the production agreement, we're going to get a lot of money. So we said, look, we want our representatives that are not politicians to spend the money and to give us the advice how to spend it. You know what them fellas this gone and do now? Them jagabats this gone and do now? They knock away the 22-man woman committee.
Mm-hmm.
And they set up a 9-man committee. We had the consultative processes with the National Assembly with appoint these people from their represent their what you call organizations that they represent. They're gonna select them. So we even depoliticize the appointment process.
Yeah.
9 out of this set, 7 out of the 9 people that the president said he gonna put there now gotta be appointed by the president. You understand me? So he has brought back the politicization. So Irfan Ali gonna get the majority of them people. Who you think he gonna put? He gonna put Ayub Borbishans? He gonna put any cane cutter rice farmer there? He gonna put, even if he does put some of them, it will be exclusively supporters of his. And the thing has now gone bad to the extent that not only he has politicized back the appointment of the 9-man committee, so he knock off there is how much he knock off there. 9 and how much make 22. He knock off about 11 or 12 of them.
Yeah.
So 13, sorry. 13 of them he knock off. And so he lessened the amount of inclusivity with all of this, what he has done under this amendment that they will pass. This thing in any other country would have bring a little revolution, quite frankly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because you're taking away back from the people what we felt was right to be given to the people.
The power.
And you're calling it back into the hands, as I have said on various TV programs in Barbados. They not take the Norwegian example anymore. They gone back to the Kazakhstan example, whereby the Kazakhstan president, finance minister, and somebody else control the money.
Mhm.
And when the 7-man or the 9-man committee, 7 of whom will be appointed by the president, they got some board of governors that will include the president. And I am certain Jack Dale as a member of parliament will be named. They say a member of parliament. Well, who do you think that member of parliament will be? It will be Jack Dale. And then, obviously, the Ministry of Finance will have some running of it. Ashney. So it comes back to the original point I've been making all along. The 3 of them will control. And that is why I've been calling them, and I know this, come from the belly of the beast. I come from that party. And then I got knocked out and so on. They know how to do this thing. It's called control freakism. And this oil money, the other nasty thing about it is whereas we said that a maximum of about 70% of what is there can be put for the first year, and then the percentages go down as we start pouring in money. You know what they're going to do with this thing? The first year, 2022, they could take all $560 million and spend them out. We had said it would be about 70% of about the 570 or 600 we had calculated would be there. And so 30 will be there also for emergencies too, but also for the future generations. And by 2022, we're going to get another 120 billion. By end of 2022, we're going to get about 500 more million, because by that time, another pipeline will be bringing up more. So now 120, we're going to go to 370. And by 2025, we might even be making $1 billion. And the way they set up this thing, that almost every year you could take out blasted whatever they almost every year bring in. That is the kind of mad spending. And we cannot, and we do not have a country that workforce or what you call contractors that can do the work of 1.5 billion US dollars a year. You know that? So we don't have a work capacity to spend money in a legitimate form. Now, them want all 560 million US dollars what they in the bank. Come January 2022, they can spend them out. When they pass this thing on the 29th now, is the 29th, we gotta go back Parliament.
Yep.
They know they want to pass them this year for the next year budget. And then they will buy votes. They're gonna go to the East Indian areas and so on and say, well, I proper suffer. I take money. And you know it will bring on a dependency syndrome. Nobody gonna want to walk after a while. And this kind of grant is going to do damage to the work ethic of Guyana, just like the remittances did. But them fellas is not care. They want to win the next elections coming up in another couple of years' time and so on. So they feel that is how they must spend the money and win the elections. This is nasty, dirty politics, dirty economics. And I am absolutely certain that things like this, we got to go and tell the American ambassador We got to tell the European Union. We got to go and talk to international people and right-thinking people in Barbados there. You must understand that is not how you run a country. You got to also save a big percentage for the future generations, because in another 30, 40 years, all the oil gone done, just like now it done in Trinidad. And where would you get your sovereign wealth fund? But Kathy, come in.
I
I'm
think-
talking too much.
Yeah, I think again, where we as Guyanese people, as citizens of this country that now have a tremendous resource, when you take it away from so many people and put it in the hands of a few, then really we don't know for sure what Guyana is getting out of it. And you know, that's one of the things that I find so depressing about the parliament. The parliament, if you listen to the conversation, how many times do we say the word Guyana? Very rarely. It's always the two political groups, the big groups. So we talk about what the PPP, we talk about what UPNU AFC, and it's that strong. The majority of Guyanese want to know what Guyana getting out of it. What Guyana and Guyanese gonna get out of this. And that's why we know for sure that this system and where we are right now is not working. Anybody listening to this, reading the papers for the last year, watching what has happened and transpired, knows that we are in a terrible place. We were given this tremendous gift, this oil resource, and really we gonna muck it up? Really, we gonna do it in such a way that we know for sure how much money we take in, where the money going, which community can get what? Just when Guyana should really start to bloom? Oh, and can we as citizens accept and continue to say, man, this is Guyana, I ain't bothering. I can take the little crumbs to throw in by me. So I can take the 250. I must take the 7%. I must take 7% when they could have probably given 15%. Because there's so much money sharing. What happened to the nurses? What happened to the police? What happened to everybody? Are we doing it in a fair manner? And this is where we have a recipe for disaster that has started. And by that I mean we have placed over $9 billion, not all across Guyana, but in some select communities. And we all know in our hearts, it's not fair. It's not nice. It's not nice to go down a street and give some people a cash grant and not set another one. Not nice. When do we become decent human beings again? Ricky?
Yes, Ricky?
Thank you, Kamraj and Kathy.
Your
Look,
comments.
we are in a terrible state here. If you can miscalculate a budget by $49 billion plus dollars, and you are going to change the whole rhythm of the way that the Natural Resource Fund operates, what do you think is going to happen to that money? You understand? So the point that you're talking about, the revolution, I'm hoping that day that this come to be debating, I'm hoping that the civil society and the other groups that we included to be a part and to have a say in the spending of this oil money come out to protest. That is a revolution I want to see. You understand? And we have to do that. They have to do that because you can't separate this inclusivity we have. I want to control it and hoping that you're going to have a fair, transparent way in managing these oil resources. You know what we're going to end up with? The oil course.
Yep. And
exactly, oil course. And you
resource course, it's called, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you read the article published by Dr. Blackman. You understand? He stated the 3 best countries that manage the oil resources, and we have adopted one of it, which is the Norwegian. system.
Our administration.
Yes,
Coalition.
our administration, the AP and UAFC. And that is the reason why we put it in such a way. Now, you can't, these people here, I don't know where we're going to go, but as Kamraj rightful points out there, you can't have a country that you can only rock back and give them the grant. Our cash grant system that we had would have been different. It comes in several forms, and education was top of that.
That's right.
It was free education from nursery to tertiary we had. That is how you put the money. That's where you put the project. So you educate the nation, you make them educated so that they can able to understand how the country should be governed and managed. Not the cut cane all the time, Kamraj, that they're doing now.
Yeah.
You understand me? They should be ashamed of trying to do after 50 years of independence, 50 years plus in independence. You want to tell people to go back to the sugar industry, to the cane field. It's a shame to do that. And then you're out of this shame now, you're going to say, you're going to text them and them, oh, you should come in the oil industry now. How is that possible? How is that possible without an IQ or to have an understanding of how the oil sector works?
Or the training, the opportunity to train.
Yeah. And how is it possible without investing in your institution like Tain University and the University of Guyana to have that oil school there for them to understand it? How is it possible?
For start, if they were serious and honest, they're talking about local content, right? The reality is Guyanese don't have the skill, which is understandable. We never had an oil industry. Trinidad had an oil industry for over 100 years. If they want to show they're serious about local content, make UG and tertiary education absolutely free from January 1st. Let's see you do that. Put your money where your mouth is.
Kathy, I was coming to the point right there, but I'm happy that you brought it in because let me tell you something. You see the local content policy? Yeah. I already signaled my intention to debate on both are the.
Oh yeah, you could give us some insights into that.
Yeah. They have a 20% of local content for the accountant. I don't know if you all look at it. It went from 90% and reduces to 20% accountant. Listen to me. All my friends, about half of them are accountant. You understand me? You want to tell me that we don't have a capacity for the accountant field? Yeah. That's what you're telling me? And then you can't talk about local content policy here. Now, let me tell you, you know how much calls receiving this phone here?
So no. Just explain to Babicians. You all must remember, you're talking to Babicians here. And when you said 20% accountants, meaning what? So only 20% of the accountants of Guyana can get jobs, whereas 80% outsiders can get.
Correct. So
that is what you mean.
80% of the personnel can come from overseas.
Yes.
So what we have learned that all the Trinidad companies that is here, their accountant coming from Trinidad, spend a week here and go back in Trinidad to look all the accountant. Now look, so what that spells for Guyana? You don't know exactly what they'll be earning. You don't know where the money is going. You don't know how much money is taxable and these kind of things. You understand me? It means that you're going to be robbing the country of revenue that you're supposed to be getting. Who will be auditing these private businesses?
They want foreigners to audit it.
Exactly.
And it will be their foreigners.
Yep.
And I read that thing, and that is what they are saying is local content. You see the thievery that this administration wants? If it's one thing good about the PPP, they come proper thief. And that was why they expelled me, because I used to bring that out. A younger generation, and I talked to some young people, they didn't know that I was ever in the PPP, you know. A lot of them, they don't know, because years have passed. It's how much years now, Kathy?
A long time.
5 is almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And them fellas were only 11-year-old. They didn't know politics and so on.
Yeah.
You've been in the PPP? The man asking me today, you been in PPP?
Wow.
I said I was expelled by this jagabat that was the vice president. This for the same thing. It was our anti-corruption crusade. And that is also what caused them to get a minority in 2011 and lose an elections in 2015.
But
and
gentlemen,
they gone back there and the same old story. And now they're saying that they're going to do local content. The accountancy profession is very, very important for an oil and gas sector that will bring in billions upon billions of US dollars. And then the nuclear effect of industry, the waterfront industry, the shore bases, this, that, brings in almost double the amount that the oil sector brings in. So if you get billions and billions, you're going to get more billions and billions, double billions and billions in relation to the non-oil sector that the oil sector has created an impetus or has catalyzed. Okay?
And
Now you get only 80% of overseas people coming to do your job. I mean, you got to start telling all them Guyanese that set up accountancy in New York and Washington and all of them, get back here. You got to be Guyanese.
Yep.
You can go to the Trinidadian friends and so on.
Gentlemen, on that point, we want to remember too the failure to just do this audit just recently.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that you have, what was it? Was it 9 billion?
9 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, around that figure.
Yeah. You can't spend 1 million to make sure that you audit 9 billion.
Yes.
I mean, that to me is just another classic example
100 million.
of what has happened. Now, unfortunately, we are already at the 9 o'clock hour.
Oh, yeah. Let's do some.
But I will ask the TV station to give each of you just a minute to wrap up. Let's give some closing remarks to the wonderful people of Berbice. Kamraj?
Yes, thank you very much, Kathy. Look how you see how fast this time has
Yeah.
gone on. And a very interesting topics. But I want to wish Berbice, because we wouldn't be here next week, Saturday. It'll be Christmas Day. And the TV station and ourselves will be occupied with families and so on. Merry Christmas to all of you. Please enjoy it to the fullest, notwithstanding the constraining times.
Yeah.
But when you do so, make sure that you do it responsibly. A Merry Christmas to my Barbician friends, our supporters in the AFC, our members in the AFC, so many others whose names I really can't do justice by calling out here. But a great, great Christmas. It has always been great Christmases here in Guyana and especially Berbice.
Ricky?
Thank you, Kathy and Kamraj. And I want to say also the same sentiments. A Merry Christmas from my family and the AFC family to yours. And hope that you guys have a wonderful Christmas and to ensure that if you drink responsibly. Take a taxi if you have to. Don't drink and drive. It's very important at this stage. You want to see the new year, which is important for you.
Yeah.
I want to say also, not only to our Barbies friends, but all those persons watching across the country and around the world, because I just got some texts from Houston that we're loving our program. Just imagine that. So I want to thank, of course, our addition support, our Shara Duncan, to ensure that our programs go across. So I want to wish you guys all the best and have a wonderful evening.
I want to do a special hail up to all the women because Christmas, ladies, you and I know Christmas is a busy time for the ladies. We thank you for your support. To the gentlemen and to families, Christmas is a time for family. Spend the time with your family, with your children. Have those conversations. And most importantly, I want you all to be very safe. We have a new virus, Omicron. We know that Delta is still around. I am begging you, please still wear your mask. Please still be very safe. Please sanitize. Please wash your hands. Please go and get your vaccine. And if you can, also get that booster.
That's right.
I'm happy to say that I am vaccinated and I will be going to get my booster. So God bless. Happy Christmas to all the wonderful people in Berbice. Stay safe. And to Guyana, Merry, Merry Christmas. And may the new year bring us good things. Take care.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.